And today Game Workshop cooked again. We got a new reveal for Age of Sigmar, and once again it's for the Ogre. We got a new hero apparently, Morga the Mighty. She's a big chunky rider, look at that. She looked like she's riding on the hypo and on the hill, and it's really funny. So as far as it looked like, she is another tyrant riding on. She is a mono tyrant riding on a glutton horde, and the details are really cool. The pose is what's selling it. Look at her, literally just posing there, mace in hand, with the big glutton horde just looking like a big hippo. The sculpt overall is really cool. The tusk on the back make it like very, very overlordy warlock type of deal, like most of the tyrants and the warlock in the ogre. And you can build it as a tyrant if you do not want her as a hero. And the tyrant look pretty menacing, pretty not Viking, pretty Mongolian-like. If you know the vibes, kind of give like barbaric Mongolian vibes, and I really dig it. The cleaver look way more detailed than in most ogre, and the glutton horn look really menacing, even though really thick. We also got new rules for the mod tribes. So far we got a big chunky rules for the end of turns. You can choose any ogre unit that fight this turn, except the Terran, because yes, the Terran can fight. And choose an enemy that it fights with. You can only pick this enemy once. Of course, that would be so fucking OP. But you inflict D3 mortal wound to the target, and then you choose one effect for the rest of the battle, which is big, very big. Raw and bloody flesh. Subtract 1 from rend that target the unit. That is big. No more rend. No more rend for that unit. Or less ward. Or steaming brain. What the freak? 2 to the control character's unit. So this is really interesting because usually Sigmar unit doesn't have that much control, and adding 2 to a unit is really big. Melee weapon have crit 2 hit, or if they already have it, they have crit mortal, which is once again a really good add-on. The unit can charge even though it runs this turn, so it can move a lot, and that's really good for melee action. Or subtract 1 to the power level of enemy unit while they are in combat, with that unit to a minimum of 0. Interesting. And the specified you can only choose 1 effect at the time. That makes sense, because that would be absolutely humongous if basically at the end of the 5th round you have like 5 of those effects. That would be too OP. Second one for the Vocal Fanatic that you can choose once per turn of the army, end of any turn, which is once again really good. Pick the friendly ogre that fights, that choose this. Pick any ogre that have this effect activated on them, and you heal D3. It's really nice. Very a lot of sustain, a lot of healing. Big, strong. For the hero, you have 1 more heroic trait, the Crusher Guts. If the unit have charged its turn, you pick a unit in combat with the target, and you roll a dice. If the roll exceeds the target health, you slain 1 mortal. Huh? You cannot do piling move for the rest of the turn though, which is... That's already really good. Because that means for some, you can basically slay the hero if you roll good in one turn. And it doesn't have any like limitation. For example, it have to be already wounded or already attacked. It's just if it charge once per turn, any combat phase. So even if you counter charge, it works. But it's only once. And we get another one for anyone that have a trophy rack. You can have for the rest of the battle for the melee weapon used by other ogre units in the unit, anti-monster or anti-war machine or anti-cavalry. That's a nice little buff for the deployment phase. Is that for the rest of the battle, so it's for the whole game. That's a really nice little add-on, a nice little buff overall. We got also something for the the Beast Claw mod track. You can choose a hero that is leading the regiment, so basically your general usually, and pick one unit that is not a hero, and you get tracking the prey. Oh, and you can put them as reserve unit, which is pretty neat. Then, obviously, at some point you get to deploy them. So during a movement phase of your choosing, you can deploy them and set the hero within 9 inch of the battlefield edge and 9 inch of any enemy unit, and set your other unit that you set as tracking the prey wholly within 9 inch of the character that you actually deployed. So it's basically a deep strike, roughly the equivalent of deep striking. And for last but not least, we got the army set, which is composed of a tyrant, 2 cavalry, 3 iron guts, the big guys in the back, and 10 gluttons with all the new sculpts, obviously. So let's take a little look at the model. This is the tyrant, this is the cavalry. The new model of cavalry, they look really cool. The iron guts, which are really beefy, and I really like the weapon. They look very barbaric. And the 2 squad of glutton, which once again needed a big rework, and they look super neat. We also get the battle tome, which is the equivalent of a codex for 40k, and the little index card, which are mini codexes, but you get like 1 card for each character. And that's really nice when you play like with friends, or they don't especially have an army or want to try the army but doesn't really want to have the codex because, well, it can be heavy to read. Other news, a bit less. You get new Titan weapons for Legion appearance, so the scale down, the epic scale as they call it. Warhammer 40k, few new model for, it looked like the, I was gonna say the Ogryn, but the Uruk for the Middle Earth game, which, I'm not fan of the Middle Earth battle set. I think they look very clunky. Plus a human, and new book for Mephiston, Space Marine, and for once not a blueberry, but an actual Blood Angel. A book for the diorama of Warhammer World, which is pretty cool, and just the planning of next week. And that's kinda all for today. The models look really neat. The new model is really funny. I really like the pose she's hitting. Really like Victoria's, very like, I'm the chief here. And the tyrants look also amazing on the glutton horn, very menacing with the big sword and the new sculpt. That's all for today. I wish you all a great rest of your day, and this is a little pic of the Japan Expo cosplayer that I found at the GPEX, and I wish you a good day. Bye bye.